How are you? It's Marie Fleming here from Awake with Passion, and welcome to video number 5 of the Sometimes Shit Happens video series. So today I wanted to talk about how sometimes it's shit when you set your sights on a goal or something big that you want to achieve. You get there and it's not what it turned out to be, because that's pretty crap. So when I studied, if you see the previous videos, you'll know my background a little bit more, but when I did the whole legal study thing, and I studied for years and years and years, and I qualified and I became a solicitor, I was always living with that mentality that, you know, life is shit now, everything's crap. I'll be happy when I qualify, I'll be happy when the money comes in, I'll be really happy when I get that dream job, you know, I'll be really happy when I leave this law firm and get the hell out. I'll be happy when. And that's kind of how I used to live my life all the time. And so you know, when I did that, I used to be very motivated, very disciplined, very focused, maybe in a way that I'd struggle with now even, but I was very, very fixed on this is where I'm going. And I actually used to get compliments, you know, people would say, wow, how do you do it? You know, you've got a toddler. I had my little girl then, and she was only sort of 2, 3 growing up. And she was a baby when I started, and I was doing all this, juggling everything. And everyone used to say, wow, that's great, you're doing all this stuff. But the thing is, I was so miserable. I was so unhappy, deeply, deeply unhappy. And I used to just live in this permanent state of complete disconnection from myself, and not giving any thought to what makes me feel good today, what would be nice to do this week. My head was completely fixed on that end goal, that end result, and my future happiness and my future life. So what happened was, when I eventually got there, you know, and I did, it took about 7-8 years to actually reach that goal finally. And when I got there, I was so happy. In that moment, I was incredibly happy. I got qualified as a lawyer. I cried. I remember I rang my mum up. I cried, which is quite rare for me. I cried down the phone, and it was all amazing. And, you know, I celebrated. But then what happened was, after about a month or so, it just started to feel like no big deal. You know, life just becomes life again, and you just get back to your normal routine. And I realised how little it really lit me up. Like, I liked the job, I was very passionate about it, but the whole excitement of hitting that goal, it was like a fleeting moment, really. And, you know, I was left with such a strange feeling of disappointment and confusion, thinking, well, you know, shouldn't I be happier because I've just done this thing that I've said I wanted to do for the last sort of decade? You know, why aren't I happy? Why aren't I happier? And this is kind of where I used to live. So, and I spent my life like that. And it wasn't until, you know, if you see the other videos, that I got chronically ill, lost everything, you know, had to rebuild everything from scratch, was that I realised the importance of actually cherishing the moment that you are in, you know. And you hear a lot of that talk, you know, lots of people talk about it, but it's so true. It's like, if you can't enjoy where you are right now, and you can't be grateful for the incredible things that you've got in your life right now, you're missing it. You're missing the point. Because I think most of us, at some point or another, we tend to get caught in this trap of thinking our happiness is in the future, or it's outside of us. But in actual fact, it really isn't. And trust me when I say this, because I've done it, I've been there, and plenty of other people have. Maybe you have yourself. But the happiness and the you know, all that good stuff, it really does come from inside. And if you're not living that now, if you can't sit in your own skin and feel pretty damn good about yourself and where you are in life, you're missing something really magical and beautiful in life. And, you know, I'd say that a lot of people, especially if you're an ambitious, determined type like I am, you will be somebody that strives always to do the next thing, and you've got your eye on the prize, you know where you're going. That's not a bad thing. You know, in fact, some people struggle with that. Some people struggle with that motivation, and then they need that push. But it's so important to take a step back sometimes and breathe, and just remember that you're here, and remember that you're important, and that there is pleasure to be had right now. There is enjoyment, there's passion, there's all this stuff you can enjoy right now while you're working on your goals and, you know, moving yourself forward. So, you know, and going back to when I used to study, when, you know, my daughter was sort of 2, 3, and I was getting the books out at night and I was really focused and that's all I did. I was giving myself such a hard time, head in the future constantly. If I'd have been hit by a bus and wiped out off this planet, that would have been a shit way to go, because that would have been a really crappy sort of mediocre life, you know, because I wasn't living with any kind of enthusiasm for anything. What's the point? You know, there is so much joy to be had if you just tap into what is going on for you right now. Even if life is shit, there are still things you can find that are incredible, you know, and that you can be grateful for. And that's the step, I think. That's the key. That's so important in life, is to be grateful for where you are. Yes, push, strive for more, but make your peace with where you are, you know, because I also see a lot of ambitious types who they're doing great stuff, they're going for it, they're making things happen, but they can't sit still for 2 seconds and be in their own skin and just be with themselves, because it's uncomfortable for them, you know. So that's what I really want to make the point today, is that, you know, it's so important, and it's the whole thing of, it's the journey, you know. It's not always the destination, it's the journey, it's where you are right now. And I see this in relationships as well, you know, people that are wanting to know, like, when are we moving in, when are we getting married, and and I used to be exactly like that. I was a complete pain in the arse years back, especially in my early 20s, but I missed the point of, there's pleasure to be had now, and you're just enjoying the moment. So I think I've said it several times now. I think you get the point. But I'm very passionate about this, because this is where I feel like most people's unhappiness lies, because we're constantly seeking it outside of ourselves or in the future. And if we just tap into ourselves and realise that it's here, then that, again, that's half the battle. I always say it's half the battle, but it's true. You know, and it's like, just focus on being here now, you know. So that's it. So I hope you found that useful or interesting or something. Hit like if you did, and feel free to share if you think somebody else would benefit from it. And I will speak to you again soon in the next video, where I'll share some other shit that's happened and some of the stuff I learned along the way. So until then, have a great day and take care of yourself.